Screen Slurps.
Hello and welcome to Screen Slurps, the movie review podcast where we discuss everything that is good, that is bad, and that is savage in the world of cinema. I'm Adam Meisner.
And I'm Dash Gearhart, and thanks for joining us, folks, because this episode we are going to be reviewing a beautiful movie, which is called Lagaan, subtitled Once Upon a Time in India. That's right, from 2001, another Aamir Khan movie. Our man Aamir Khan, the legendary Aamir Khan. Before we get into that, I'm going to jump right into it, Adam, when it comes to Science Slurps, because first of all, I want to acknowledge that the Oscars, 2021 Oscars, just happened. So I definitely want to take some time to talk about that before we even get into the other things we watched or maybe played or made this past week. Did you watch the Oscars, Adam?
I did.
I knew that answer because we were texting each other.
Yeah.
So just to run by some of the couple big main ones, if you don't know already, folks, Best Picture, the winner was Nomadland, and it was up against Minari, Promising Young Woman, and Sound of Metal, and The Trial of Chicago 7.
Sorry, I wasn't booing
let's just let's just take a minute and talk about the Best Picture. Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, The Trial of Chicago 7, and Nomadland won. I know you watched Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal. Did you watch The Trial of the Chicago 7?
I have not seen The Trial of the Chicago 7 yet.
Yeah, we didn't do an episode on that one. That's the only one we didn't do an episode
want
on.
to watch The Trial of the Chicago 7.
It's very good.
Yeah, I think it'd be worth the time. It looks very interesting, and I think the performances certainly look interesting. To see Joseph Gordon-Levitt be what is he, an attorney or something?
He's not really a main character. He's like one of the side characters. I know they kept showcasing him because he's one of the more famous ones in the movie, but he doesn't have a big role at all.
That's very interesting. It's very interesting that the Academy would be showing clips with him in it versus any of the other
He's
people.
the most familiar face other than Sacha. Well, Sacha Baron Cohen's in it, and so is Eddie Redmayne. He's in it as well. And those are
and they showed a little bit of the two of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they were afraid they think it was like Borat or something, or but at least showed like Eddie Redmayne, you know. And this was surrounding the story that happened with the incident that happened with Fred Hampton in Chicago, which also Judas and the Black Messiah dealt with as well. We had two movies that were nominated for Oscars, this year around the same time in Chicago. But what was you? So you gave a boo. Tell me more about the boo.
I was going to say it's funny, but it's not like I can be sitting here laughing at myself. But I was going to say it's funny because you and I both were talking about in our episode on Nomadland how we would recommend that film, Nomadland, to our listeners out there. And I stand by that. I would still suggest watching Nomadland. It was a good movie. It was an interesting movie, but I will say now, you only really need to watch it once. It's that kind of movie to me. I think you watch the movie once, you get the experience once, and then you're okay. You're good after that. You watch that movie one time and you've done your justice, okay? Do you really need to go back and watch it more than once? I don't think so. Nomadland wasn't like watching Blade Runner, and all the honor to Harrison Ford, who was also at the Academy talking about Blade Runner. So woohoo, go Harrison Ford. But Nomadland, come on. Why did that win so many things? Like,
I would watch
really
Minari again. I would watch Promising Young Woman again. I would watch Sound of Metal again. I would watch The Trial of Chicago 7 again. Yeah, exactly. I didn't hate Nomadland, but I didn't think it was anything special. I'm happy for the director. I think the director, keep that director award. But best film, I disagree with. I did not approve of that one either. If I had to choose, I probably, out of the nominees, I probably would have went with Sound of Metal. I think that was I think there was a review that was all about that was saying that it was very much a showcase on the actor, like sound design and the actor, big time. Sound design for sure, which it won. Yeah. And the actor, Riz Ahmed, full on strong contender for best actor. but I would say Minari or Promising Young Woman. Whew, man, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go say Trial of Chicago 7. It's tough for me though.
It says something since I haven't seen that.
Those are
movie
really
yet,
close though, with Promising Young Woman and Minari though. Those are really close. Because I did enjoy those two as big time as well. I mean, I also enjoyed.
Also interesting because on Twitter, I mean, I can't count all the votes of people on Twitter since it's social media. Everyone's got their own opinion, but I think there's a lot of people I was seeing on Twitter that were just like, "Promising Young Women, what a joke." That was like the worst movie. And every time I saw somebody say that on Twitter, immediately I wanted to just slap up someone in the face. Just like, really? Yeah. How can you say that that's a joke at the Oscars? I'm glad that won Best Original Screenplay. I'm also glad Sound of Metal got Best Editing. Like, I don't know.
Me too.
All
Best
the things, all the awards I thought were duly handed out, except for Best Picture, really. So,
well, okay. First, I have to correct myself. The other nominees, there was a list that I was looking on CNN that was shortened by this ad. I forgot that Judas and the Black Messiah was nominated, and so was The Father and Mank, which we reviewed Mank, and we did Judas and the Black Messiah. So let me re-edit that and say that I think that either Judas and the Black Messiah or The Trial of the Chicago 7 should have won. Those would have been my 2 votes. It would have came down to those 2. I haven't seen The Father, so I can't even say anything about that. Best Supporting Actor, I'm happy for Daniel Kaluuya, but like, what's wrong with the Academy? You can't nominate both Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield for Judas and the Black Messiah.
Come on, DJ. Neither of them were a main actor, okay? Neither of them can be counted as a main actor.
Why not?
They support each other, so
shouldn't
they're
they
both
just
supporting.
both be nominated for Best Leading Actor? Like,
no, they don't have it in their justice to give one of them the lead. Someone's gonna get hurt in that process.
There's no protagonist. Yeah, it's like, no, either one of them should have been supporting and nominated for a lead, or they both should have been nominated for
also, what was
leading.
wrong with the Academy to do Best Picture before the actors this year?
It was so weird, man. It didn't even feel like the Oscars, and it was such a bummer.
Also, the fact that they had Questlove DJing, that was the bomb. But when
that was cool. That was cool.
When they had that section where it was like, all right, we're going to play, was this song nominated for an award? Did it win an award? Or did it win nothing? That was like, okay, this will be fun. This will be cool. And then he goes over to the first woman, and then she starts swearing on the microphone. It's like, well, okay, that wasn't necessary. Like, yeah. And then he goes over to Daniel Kaluuya, who's just like, "Oh, I didn't know what it was," and it's like,
his
no one is
speech
having
was so funny.
Nobody is having fun at the Academy this year until Glenn Close starts shaking to debut.
Like, yeah. But it was funny. But Daniel Kaluuya's his acceptance speech, which again, he was amazing in Judas and the Black Messiah. Well, or he just should have been leading actor. But he was like, it was such a very positive, encouraging speech at the end. He's like, yeah, my mom and dad, they had sex. And I think it was his sister and his mom. It was like this double take. His mom's like, wait, what? We did? Like, it was just, he caught his mom off guard. It was funny, but he was just being very, I don't know, like, in a funny way, very praising and positive. But hey, I don't know if you mentioned earlier, but super happy that Promising Young Woman won Best Original Screenplay. That was bomb. That was, heck yeah, that was awesome. I think that should have got more awards too. But yeah, Chloe Zhao, very happy for her that she won Best Director. I didn't dig the screenplay as much, but the direction, I think we mentioned in the Nomadland episode that there was a lot of really great visuals, and she was able to tell a good story from one person's perspective. So I'm looking forward what she's going to do later, like more films now. I'm guessing they're going to bring her on board with like the big time stuff when it comes to like The Mandalorian and like all the cool Marvel series. She's going to be like lifted up to this higher, like, I don't know, this what do you call it, a Valhalla or a Mount Olympus of prestige TV soon. That's what I'm guessing. And then also production design, Mank. Totally agree with that. That was stellar. And cinematography also won, Mank.
And all the new Gen Zers will be like, what the hell is Citizen Kane?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, I don't even know what this movie is referencing.
Who's Gary Oldman?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, best achievement sound for sure, deserving of it was Sound of Metal. And yeah, and then also I still need to catch up on the animated and live action shorts. I do usually try my best to see those before the Oscars, but I just didn't get to it this time. Yeah, Tenet won best visual effects, and film editing, as you mentioned, was Sound of Metal, and makeup and hairstyling was Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which I have not seen yet. So check that out.
Put that on your to-do list.
Yeah, but just unfortunately with COVID and yeah, everybody had to be kind of spaced out and couldn't be full, and it looked kind of like a dinner party, you know, at the Oscars, and I don't know, it was just kind of like, all right, this one, don't get down on it too much, and we'll hopefully be back to the way things used to be next year.
Yeah.
Also, very happy, if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Yoo Jung Yoon won for Minari. She was awesome. She was grandma, and Minari, she was hilarious.
Her speech was really funny too. They almost had to pull her
great,
off,
but she flirted with Brad Pitt. Yeah. That was great.
He was trying to just guide her off the stage, and then she just goes and grabs onto his arm.
Yeah. She's like, I can get away with this. That was awesome. Yeah, she seems so quirky and funny, and it seemed like, I'm guessing that a lot of her humor was instilled in the movie, which is fantastic. Very, very cool. Anyway, other than that, what have you been sidestorming this week, bud? Have you been playing, watching other things, or maybe making stuff this past week?
I have been making dinner with my girlfriend. That's been what I've been making, and attempting to make a video game. I showed you that. I unfortunately
the Adam Meisner game.
The Adam Meisner game right now is what it's called. It might have a more elaborate title later, but it's aptly named. I think it's really just me as the character. So the Adam
Legend
Meisner
of the My Surprise.
I might incorporate some Easter eggs as an homage to Legend of Zelda or something.
I was thinking of, what was it, Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, the Adam Meisner game, Legend of the My Surprise.
Game. I need to just invest in buy that game.
It is the game that got me into role-playing games, dude. Like, it is like true role-playing games, not like Legend of Zelda. Like, I'm talking like true traditional RPG, JRPGs. It was actually Mario RPG. I love that game so much. Please play it and let me know what you think.
It's always looked so good, but yeah, working on that. Like I said, cooking dinner. I've got every plate or something now, so 5 meals a week from every plate, and it's a great thing. If you haven't heard of it, or you have, it's actually a very good deal. So not buying dinner from the grocery store anymore. I still need to buy lunch, obviously, and snacks and things like that, but dinner just delivered to my door. It's like I don't know what else that compares to, like how they deliver your groceries and things like that, those special things you
Instacart.
Yeah, kind of like that, only this is just like they send you basically dinner for 5 days a week, and then you have the groceries basically for your dinner, and then when it's dinner time, then you got the recipe and everything ready to go. And so it's kind of like, okay, tonight's dinner is going to be, I'll make up a recipe now, but it'd be, like apricot pork chop or something like that or whatever. And then you're like, cool, what ingredients do I need? And then it's like all the ingredients are in your box, so you have the recipe in front of your face.
They're in your box, dude.
Yeah, they're in your box. So you look at the recipe, and then on the recipe it tells you what ingredients you need. So it tell you, like apricot and a pork chop.
Are so mean.
And garlic and whatever else. And then they tell you how to make it, and then you just whip it up. And it's just a nice, quaint amount of food you get to make out of it, and just the right amount. I think it's not too much, it's not too little, it's just perfect. And then I'm on the 5 meals a week, so it doesn't quite cover the weekend for me, but I think it's perfect. So fantastic. And I also watched The Order of the Phoenix, so still not done with the Harry Potter movies, but I did watch The Order of the Phoenix. I thought that was the best one so far.
Yep, that's my opinion.
Yeah, honestly, like I said on the last episode, the movies, they just keep getting a little more dark the further you go into them, as they should. And I'm very upset that Gary Oldman died, but, I think it's good. I think it's really good.
Wait, what?
You know what I'm talking about. Gary Oldman's not the real Gary Oldman, but in the movie, The Order of the Phoenix, his character.
Yeah.
Sirius Black.
Definitely. Sirius super Sirius Black.
Sirius Black.
I love Order of the Phoenix. It is, I mean, the other ones are good. The other ones, don't get me wrong, I still really like the other ones for sure. But that one, I don't know. I think it was like, that one's like the time when things start to get really, really dark. And there's still a little like playful, like school days feel to it too, along with the, okay, prepare for a war. You know, it still feels a little light, which I like. I like that mix between like the light school days and like the, brooding war looming around us type of feel.
Well, first of all, you can see a clear shift in direction when the directors change after the second movie in the series. Once the first director of the films is gone and they're like, okay, we're bringing on a new director for the Harry Potter films in the third film, then clearly it's like, okay, now we're getting a little more action and it's because things are heating up now with the third book, the third movie. But then in the fifth film, once they're like, Harry Potter, you're expelled and you're not allowed to come back to the school. I mean, that's the beginning of the film, but clearly it's like, okay, now things are really going to start getting more intense. And plus the lady who's teaching the dark arts in Order of the Phoenix, she's just crazy. And I mean, that did it for me in that movie. I'm like, okay, this woman, her acting was on point, but she was crazy. And her love for cats just made me feel like it was honestly real life living with two cats. I'm like, okay, this is too much for me, but this movie's good.
Kitty cats. You have a kitty cat, right?
Yeah, we got two of them over here.
What are their names, if you don't mind saying?
Luna and Artemis, as if I'm living in a Sailor Moon episode.
Dude, I was just thinking about Sailor Moon. I think they're coming out with a new movie on Netflix. I think
they are.
Yeah, that is awesome. Okay, great. Anything else you've been slipping? So you mentioned your video games, stuff you've been watching, stuff you've been cooking, Order of the Phoenix, anything else?
That pretty much does it for me. What about you?
About me?
What about you, y'all?
Well, talk about me. Talk about them. You. All right, I'm done with country music. Dash. Country music. You're here. Gonna drive some NASCAR. Gonna get country, drive my tractor, and play my guitar.
Late nights with the dash gear.
Going down to drive-in, my pals. Yeah. All right, I'm done with that. I am not that person. Anyway, moving on. I could be anything I want, Adam, but I choose not to be.
Listeners out there, Dash is a wonderful actor, and he can be your wonderful actor for 5 easy payments of $9.95
to bring Country Boy Gearhart out. Yeah. We'll discuss the quote on that. It may need a little more. Anyway, so other than the Oscars, I've been playing more Final Fantasy 15, and I'm on the DLC. So there's also, if you're ever interested, Adam, we could play co-op. It's called Final Fantasy 15 Comrades. It's $10 on the PlayStation Store, at least last time I checked, and you can get on there and you can play the game. It's online. You can play multiplayer, which is really cool. Go on quests together.
And I can ride the Final Fantasy bus.
Maybe a car. You guess you actually do drive a car in Final Fantasy 15, but maybe a bus. I don't know. I haven't played much of it yet, but it's really cool.
Thinking of Little Miss Sunshine meets Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's right. I've been watching a lot of the videos of the voice actor cast of Fire Emblem Three Houses, and it's making me like, oh, maybe I should play Fire Emblem Three Houses again because I love it, and it'll probably prevent me from buying any more video games. So yeah, I will probably look into it after I finish Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I don't know why I didn't notice going into it, but it's not all of the game. I don't know if I mentioned this on the last episode or not, but like the old game that was in the 90s, the remake is only like half of it, I guess. It's all have you played 7? Like the old 7?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
Okay, so all right, well then I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, it's like I guess half of it, or not even half. There's much more of the game left of the story, and I guess they're working on the next one, but no release date has been announced, and I assume it's just going to be for PlayStation 5, which I'm guessing that's what's going to prompt me to get a PlayStation 5 eventually, which will be fine. By that time I'll be through Spider-Man, the Yakuza game that I want, and I'll probably play Dragon Ball Z Kakarot and
You'd think they'd be more easily obtainable by now, but even still, I think
which I don't feel the FOMO just yet. Yeah, because I know that not a whole lot of people have it right now, so it's not weighing on me just yet as I'm enjoying my PS4. So yeah, I recommend picking up Final Fantasy 15, downloading the DLCs if you have not tried them out. They're excellent. It just adds more to the story. It's fantastic gameplay. I love the traditional RPG with the action RPG hybrid system that they have. And actually, I like it more than Final Fantasy 7, which I still like. But man, I just love jumping and blade warping, and you can't do that in Final Fantasy 7 Remake, at least not in the beginning when you're in Midgar. So yeah, that's just my opinion. It's fantastic. Go check it out. I've also I also downloaded The Witcher for only $10 on PlayStation 4. They were having like a spring sale, and I have it on my Switch, but like I don't know, I've heard it runs better on PlayStation 4, so I'm like, it's only $10. Like, I'll just get it for that. And I don't know if it's just me, but I do like it better on PlayStation 4. Granted, still on my Switch, still Fire Emblem Three Houses, and it's one of the greatest games I've ever played in my entire life. But it's just, I don't know, it just feels like this one goes here, that one goes there, but love both those places. Other than that, looking back into Magic the Gathering, we should play. Have you ever played Magic the Gathering, dude?
I used to. Back in high school.
Do you have any of your cards left? We should play a game.
If I can find them, I'll keep you posted.
I have my second shot next month, and I know you have to wait 2 weeks after that. So like after that, dude, like let's play Magic the Gathering, like in person. Like let's sit around for, have a couple beers and let's play Magic the Gathering. It's a lot of fun. I love that game. I lean always more towards Red Magic. I love Red Magic, but the other ones are great too. So I'm building a new deck, but I got a bunch of decks already. But yeah, other than that, that's basically what I've been slurping. And I already mentioned Captain, I don't want to spoil it. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's an awesome show. I recommend. And there is a new series on Netflix that I do want to check out. A new fantasy series. I think it's something in Bone. I don't know. I think it's based off a book. I have to check it out. I'll get back to you on that. But real quick, I'm really excited about a bunch of new series that are coming back that just got announced, including it's next month, which is Castlevania Season 4. I love Castlevania so much. I've been a big fan of the video games my entire life, and the anime series on Netflix is just sublime. It's so good. If you haven't checked it out yet, Season 4 is coming out next month, which has been announced that it's the last season of the series, but Netflix has another series in mind with different characters in the same universe. Some people are saying this is Devil May Cry, which doesn't make any sense at all. I do know that show is being developed by the same showrunner as Castlevania, Adi Shankar, but this would just mean a time jump, because that's what all Castlevania is every time like Dracula gets like reincarnated or brought back to life every couple of 100 years, like a new Belmont is like coming back to like fight him, and it's a descendant of a Belmont that we visited before. Anyway, I just hope it's still Dracula and Alucard, and it's just like a Castlevania subtitled Symphony of the Night or something. Anyway, Master Nun is also coming back next month, and in the fourth quarter of this year, it was announced that The Witcher Season 2 is coming out, and Cobra Kai Season 4. It's like, oh my god, all these series are so good. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. It's so awesome. I'm like, man, and I wasn't expecting any of those series to come back this year. Like literally none of them. And it was, I think it was all within the same week. Like, hey, Master Nun. Hey, Castlevania. Hey, The Witcher. Hey, Cobra Kai. I'm like, yeah, this is great. So super excited. Can't wait to talk about that. But right now we're talking about Lagaan. That's right. Its translation is, if I'm reading this correctly, it means agricultural tax in English. listeners, if that's incorrect, please correct us, DM us, comment on our social media, follow us at Screen Slurps Podcast or at Screen Slurps. And Lagaan, it was a movie that was released internationally as Lagaan, Once Upon a Time in India in 2001. And it's an Indian Hindi language epic musical sports film written and directed by Ashutosh Gowarikar. Apologies for the mispronunciation, listeners.
Well, we're going to do our best here.
We're going to do our best, but we mean well. And it was also produced and it was starring our main man, Aamir Khan. We love Aamir Khan. And it also debuted Gracy Singh and British actors Rachel Shelley and Paul Blackthorne in supporting roles. It made on a then unprecedented budget of, was made with a 250 million rupees, which is equivalent to 5.32 million US dollars. And the movie was the maiden project from Aamir Khan Productions and was shot in villages near Bhuj. The film was set in 1893 during the late Victorian period of India's colonial British Raj. The story revolves around the small village in central India whose inhabitants, burdened by high taxes and several years of drought, find themselves in an extraordinary situation as an arrogant British army officer challenges them to a game of cricket as a wager to avoid paying the taxes they owe. The narrative spins around this situation as the villagers face the arduous task of learning a game that is alien to them and playing for a result that will change their village's destiny. Lagaan was released on June 15th, 2001, and it was clashing with Gadar Ek Prem Katha and starring Sunny Deol and Amish Patel. It received widespread critical acclaim and awards at international film festivals, as well as many Indian Film Awards, and it became the third Indian film to be nominated for the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film after Mother India in 1957 and Salam Bombay of 1988.
Very unfortunate that this was only the third Indian film to be nominated for the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film, and considering it's only the third Indian film in that radius of films, Mother India in 1957, Salam Bombay in 1988, and then this film in 2001. It took that long for Indian films to be nominated for Best Foreign Film.
Crazy, man. Bollywood makes fantastic movies. Oh, doggy. They are just experts in cinema and their style and their just nuance and storytelling is just unprecedented. You can't compare it to anything else. It's its own amazing thing. But before we talk more about Bollywood, Adam, was this your first time watching this? And if it was, what were your thoughts? And talk, if you could, for anybody who hasn't seen this film, could you talk, also spoilers alert for anybody who hasn't seen this, could you talk a little bit about the story in itself?
Yeah, this was the first time that I saw this movie, and I really didn't know entirely what I was getting into, this being the first time that I was going to watch it. I just knew that because this was a Bollywood film, that in the back of my head, I sort of had the understanding that this was going to be a little bit longer of a movie. I sort of had the idea to expect that this is going to be a little bit longer of a film because it is a Bollywood film. So I'm thinking in my mind, okay, it's going to be probably at least 3 hours long. Little did I realize it's actually 4 hours long. The film is actually quite long. But also, to my surprise, 2 of those 4 hours are just them playing cricket. It's not even the exploration necessarily. Half of the movie is them just playing. You gotta know what a
crumpet is before you know what cricket. Sorry, it's a Ninja Turtles reference.
But no, for real though, it's just half of the movie is them just in the sports match cricket. But the real meat of the movie too is the players in India, the main characters, Aamir Khan's character, and everyone that he lives with in the village, it's them not even knowing how to play the game cricket. They've never even heard of it. It's them trying to spy on the British and figure out what the hell is the game cricket and how do you play it, because they get challenged to play the British in the game of cricket for their lives. It's kind of like, okay, if you can beat us in a game of cricket, then I will stop charging you guys with tax for 3 years, and if we beat you, then I will charge you with 3 times the amount of tax, which then they're not going to be able to afford that, and basically all of the Indian villages are going to basically die because no one's going to afford any of that. So my understanding watching this, my expectations or any of that, my expectation was, is this going to be a good movie? And my assumption was, well, more than likely, yes, because everything I've seen with Aamir Khan has been fantastic. And my assumption was also, I wonder when the music's going to show up, because everything I've seen with Bollywood things in it has had musical breaks in it. And all of it just played out. My assumptions, it all ended up playing out, because watching it from the very beginning, it's kind of like, okay, we've got, some plot twists coming in here or there. There's some suspense, some action comes up, like, wow, some trouble really hit the fan here. And then they just start singing about it. And it's like, oh, so we're going to relax a little bit. It really reminded me, even though Three Idiots came out about 6 years later, but it really reminded me of Three Idiots, because the same kind of thing happened. There'd be some real drama that hits the fan, and you're like, man, this is really intense. I'm really scared. And then all of a sudden they just start singing. You're like, oh, I can breathe a little bit for a second, and then something serious happens, and then it cools down a little bit, and then it gets really intense again, and then they'll just start singing like, it's okay, we'll just sing, and maybe it'll be okay again. And then it's like, are you gonna fix this problem? I have no idea, but you're just gonna sing about it for a second, so maybe we'll figure it out. It was very interesting. I thought everything in the movie really played out really, really nicely. And the one thing I will say from later in the movie, the one thing that really ticked me off was the character Lagaan, and how he thought it was a good idea to try and betray the entire population of India just because he was jealous of Bhuvan and Gauri hooking up. It's like, please forgive me. I only told them because I was jealous of you two, and I just wanted to, I wanted to be with Gauri. And it's like, so you're telling the British all about us and trying to betray us and make everybody sick and make us lose just because you wanted to hook up with Gauri? Like,
Aamir Khan's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
Like, really? Yeah, even him, he had that look on his face like, are you fucking kidding me? That's why?
Like, and you're going to end up paying 3 times the tax too?
Yeah, it's like, you're going to suffer too. This is your reason to be Judas in this story? Like, yeah, that was, he was out of his mind, as he said, and it was a huge mistake. I was like, ooh, I don't know, Amir. I don't know. Or his character, I kept calling him Aamir Khan the whole time. Bhuvan. I was like, I don't know, Bhuvan. But yeah, he forgave him. And I was like, dude, like, yeah, don't kill him, but maybe not let him play, like, just in case, like you don't have to let him be on the team anymore. He can be forgiven and just, he can watch and cheer. But like, what if he messes up? Yeah, I was like, what if he fucks up the game or something? But as he proved that he did really well, and he played really well, and he helped out the team. This movie, Aamir Khan feels like, he feels like the Bollywood Tom Hanks now. He's just so right. By this time, this is like our third movie that we reviewed with him in it. He feels so cozy and comfortable now, and it's like, he's my bud, he's my friend, he's great, he's like a hero, and he's handsome, and he's also can be a father figure too, and all the ladies love him, and like everybody loves this guy, like, when we were seeing Gauri and Elizabeth, it's just like, man, Aamir Khan, you're such a ladies' man. Both these ladies love you. And I didn't think he was interested in either one of them, or at least he just wasn't like, he wasn't disinterested. He just seemed like he's like, well, that's not really what should be focused on right now. It should, what should be focused on is like saving our village from this horrible tax, which, okay, I think we mentioned this when we were reviewing Empire of the Sun. It's just like, wow. the British Empire fucked this whole earth. Like everybody has been suffering because of them, because of what they used to be. Like, how horrible. They were doing this shit to Japanese people, doing this shit to people in South Africa, doing this shit to people in the indigenous people in Australia, in the Americas, in India. Like, they just don't give a shit about human beings. And it's just horrible to see that, like, wow, they were there. And like, I think it really, really hit me. It hit me earlier in the film, just the fact that they were there in India. And it's like, this isn't your land. Go back to your little island off the coast of Europe.
Right.
It really hit me during the prayer song in between, because folks, again, I am not that familiar with cricket, and I got a little more familiar with it because of this movie. Yeah. And and from Elizabeth, the character who was a hero and helped out, who was from British, and she was great. So there's good shit. Not all British people are bad. It's just the British Empire did terrible things. So when they were having that one scene in between, I think it was like the day before the last game, it was kind of like the World Series basically with baseball. Like you had multiple games throughout like a few days. All of them were just singing and praying just desperately. And I'm like, wow, this is because of British people conquering people and oppressing people, British white people oppressing people in the past. And I'm like, wow, like how horrible. Like these people were suffering so much because of that. And it's just, yeah, they're really the bad guys, like tremendously. And but yeah, it was a heroic tale that was all done within like a sports movie, which I think we mentioned last week during Promising Young Woman, is that I think we both acknowledge that like sports culture, especially American sports culture, sucks. It's such a douchey subculture of our nation. But that's why I don't really watch sports other than like UFC and boxing. That's it. And soccer and the Olympics, like international stuff. But I love sports movies. A lot of them, like Remember the Titans, The Mighty Ducks, what else? Waterboy. The list goes on.
Movie.
Yeah, it makes you feel like the stakes are high, and especially the stakes were super high, as we mentioned before. If they lost, if Aamir Khan and his village lost, Bhuvan and his village lost, they were gonna have to pay triple the tax. They were getting pressured to, or forced to be paid twice the tax, double the tax. But if they won, what was it, 3 years? They didn't have to pay any tax,
right? Which
was amazing. And then on the other side, we had Captain Russell, right? Yeah, Captain Russell, who was like the main baddie. He got talked to by his superiors in the British Raj, and they were like, dude, why did you if you lose, California / English, why did you possibly made a wager with this village? Oh, you did. Okay, well, if you lose, you have to pay all of it, and you'll be transferred to the Sahara Desert, where you'll rot and die. Basically, it's like you have to get Central Africa, and just he goes to the desert is what it said at the end. It's like, to a base, or I guess they just kind of dumped him off there. It's like, there you go, you're free now in the desert.
I feel like you're turning into Nigel Thornberry.
Yeah, crikey, Nigel Thornberry.
They're not mermaids, they're dugongs.
So I don't know, maybe he caught up with Brendan Fraser and The Mummy or something like that at that point. I think it was around that time. I don't know. Anyway, so the stakes were super duper high, and we had this love triangle going on, as we mentioned earlier, where
that was weird.
Bhuvan was, it seemed like he was just very focused, and these two ladies loved the poop out of him. They just couldn't take their eyes off of him. And Gary we knew all about Gary's love with him. And, she's like, oh, well, fortune teller said, I'm like this guy who has this house and has like these ox and these animals. And he's like, well, I don't know. My mom has to like this person.
Of course, he's playing hard to get. And he's like, actually, my mom does like you.
he brings up all that shit later. It's like, dude, you're too super playing with her. He's like, I don't know who you're talking about. Okay. And then the British lady, who is super duper helpful, she is awesome. She was putting her entire life at risk to help these people. Like, she was also a hero in herself as well. Elizabeth Russell, played by Rachel Shelley, and she helps them learn this foreign game of cricket to help them succeed because she knew it wasn't right. Also, because she had the hots for Bhuvan. she
just doesn't care about her brother. Obviously, her brother,
and she hates her Poindexter dick brother. Yeah, 3 valid reasons, and
works for me.
Yeah, she was super. I mean, even who was it? The little kid. I forget his name, but he was like this little kid. Yeah, he even said like, well, it's pretty simple. She just totally digs Bhuvan. She's like, she's in love with him, and she is. And she even tells him that in English because she learns Hindi real quick
in one night.
Yeah, one night she learns a ton of Hindi, except for how to say "I'm falling in love with you." Basically, is conversational, almost fluent, it seems, other than how to say I am falling in love with you.
Nice to meet you. She screwed up how to say that.
Nice to meet you. But that was her first try, so we'll give her that pass. Anyway, she totally tells Bhuvan that she is falling in love with him twice, I think, to his face in English. And it seemed that from a distance, Gauri totally knew what she was saying, totally read her body language, and Bhuvan's like, I don't really, okay, what did I do? I don't understand. He's just super.
It's what we all say.
It's like, you're in your 30s, like you can't even pick that up a little bit. Like, you don't have to understand English to get what the way she was looking at you, man. Like, bro, she digs you, man. Anyway, so they then have that song later because he ends up, that you mentioned earlier, that he's like, my mom likes you. I like it, Gauri. And they have the song. But then I was watching this and I thought it was like, you see this lovey-dovey song between Bhuvan and Gauri, and they're dancing and singing. But then you also see Elizabeth singing too in her bedroom. She's dreaming about Bhuvan and like, she's having a moment, so in love, and thinking about it. I'm like, drama. But I was like, whatever. The game's more important. The game is the focus.
And then the next 2 hours are cricket.
Yep, the next 2 hours. And I will say, though, I love the progression that they had of assembling the team. That was really cool. And my favorite moment of that was when Bhuvan recruited the character that they called an untouchable. I don't know his character name.
That was intense. And it's unfortunate to see that almost all of those people are like, we can't have him on the team. He's disabled. And it's like, really? That's what you thought?
Yeah, they were looking down on him as if he was like a low life, and they called him an untouchable. And Bhuvan was like, no, he had this great speech calling them all out their shit, and he wasn't nice about it. He's like, what? Should we just... discriminating him is like discriminating someone based on the color of their skin. He's like, we're not going to do this. He was made like this because the divine made him. Oh, by the way, I did enjoy that they had a mix of religions in that group too, very diverse in their faiths, like Muslim and Hindu, I think, which is very cool. And yeah, I think Anka pointed that out, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, he's like, fuck you guys. He didn't say that, but basically he's like, fuck you guys.
That's a new version.
He's gonna be on this team, and God made him this way. And doing that is basically just like, it's like when, discriminating someone against their skin color. So quit being assholes, and we're going to recruit them and be cool. And there was like, yeah, you're right, Bhuvan, you're the coolest guy.
That is pretty much exactly how it went, though. They're all standing there, they're listening to,
and they're like, Bhuvan. I'm not gonna play either. Well, I'm not gonna play
one by
either.
One. Well, no, he's disabled. And then Aamir
Khan's like, what the sucks. Fuck? Like, Jesus Christ.
It's like something you'd see on an MTV commercial.
Yeah,
just like, I say no, I say no too. And then finally, Bhuvan is just like, you know what? Well, I got Mountain Dew, and he's gonna drink it. And they're like, well, I guess we're gonna change our mind then.
Yeah, it was really quick. He's like, no. He's like, this guy's cool. Fuck all of you guys. I'm standing by here. I'm the coolest guy here, and I say he's cool too. And they're like, All right, yeah, he's cool too. Yeah, we're sorry.
Well, if he thinks he's cool, then I guess
Yeah.
we think he's cool.
Yeah, and that just proves how cool a guy Bhuvan is. I mean, he's basically Jesus. You know, he's super awesome. And so anyway, there's other really cool moments, but I thought that was like the strongest moment emotionally. As all jokes aside, I thought it was like a very heartfelt scene that was just like a really good message for humanity. And yeah, I'd say about he's basically a Christ figure. Like he's very progressive and accepting and very charismatic and just forward thinking, very cool guy. And yeah, every time they would like find like this different skill and stuff as someone, you know, like the slingshot or, you know, like what was it? The guy that was really, really strong and the guy, you know.
Or the guy who's chasing the chickens.
Yeah, chasing chickens. So they helped the training. It almost kind of reminded me of, you ever seen The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler?
I don't think I have, actually.
It's good. It's also another really good sports movie. It's a remake. It's a remake of an old one starring Burt Reynolds, even though Burt Reynolds is also in a new one. But check out the new one, at the very least, starring Adam Sandler. The way he kind of forms the team kind of reminded me, or the way Bhuvan forms the team kind of reminded me of The Longest Yard a bit. Yeah, that one's a football movie. But yeah, it was cool. It was like forming the Avengers or something. And yeah, when the game, which is like an hour long, an hour maybe half long of like all the cricket games, they did such a great job of like, I don't know, like I was on the edge of my seat through most of it. I was like, you know, and they like,
I actually understand the game of cricket a lot more too now. I'm like, oh,
it was like a
this is how
simplified
cricket
version
is.
of
Okay.
baseball. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was baseball, but like with Harry carries. If you did Harry carries in school, sports, I don't know, I did it when I played sports in high school. Like you had like,
and seeing like the two batters running back and forth between the wick stands. I've never seen a game of cricket before, so
yeah, it was like baseball without gloves or without catching mitts and two bases. Yeah, instead of like four. So that was interesting. Never really checked. Also, everybody pitched like I'm speaking about the British people too. They're like they were pitching very uniquely, very different compared to baseball. They would like get a really big running start first. They would call it bowling. Like everybody would call it, you're a bowler, not a pitcher.
Yeah, and they're trying to knock down those wicks.
Yeah. Trying to knock down those wicks, which I kind of was not understanding at first. But yeah, as the more I watched, I'm like, okay, I think I get this. And boy, that British team, dirty white British people, they were they were dirty players. They were just trying to hurt people and knock the other team out and like physically.
Well, those cricket balls seem
cheating.
like they'd be like bricks in weight. They seem like they'd knock you out.
Yeah. One hit Bhuvan on purpose right in the ear. His ear, sir. I think he was gonna go deaf in that ear. I was like, oh no. And at the end, man, it was between him and that one character that was considered an untouchable. It was those two, and boy, those scene exchanges where he's like, it's up to you. It's like we need to win this one. Like, you know, our lives are in your hands. And he goes to hit it.
Screwed with you like so many times. So he goes to hit it.
I liked it.
Like
I liked how much they screwed with me. You know, like I was like, oh my God. I was like holding back tears, and like Aamir Khan was just looking him dead in the eye. He's like, everything is in your hands. Like, you have to please hit this ball. And he's so scared, and he goes to hit it, and they go call it, and all the British team, you know, goes and hug, yeah, we won, yeah. And then like it's just like, no. And then the ump's like, you know, foul ball or something, whatever. And he's like, no. And they're all like, what? That's bullshit. You know, and he's like, nope, I'm not going to.
I was confused though. So why did Bhuvan get to bat then? Like, if it was a ball, then shouldn't they have had the same
baseball,
guy?
So
yeah, shouldn't they have had the same guy bat again? Yeah,
I mean,
made
if
no
it was
sense
baseball, sure, but cricket, man, you know, you got to understand crumpet before you understand cricket, as Raphael.
I don't understand. Yeah, why'd they have a different guy?
You got to understand what a crumpet is. games before you understand cricket. You know,
that doesn't even make sense to me. That's
what Raphael said in Ninja Turtle and Ninja Turtles movie. So if you want, we can go back to listening to that episode that we did last year.
Oh boy.
You got to understand what a crumpet is before you understand cricket. And I guess that's why they had to switch batters. Because our boy Bhuvan went up there and I'm like, okay, hero time. You know, here we go, man. And yeah, it ended with him. And I totally thought Mr. Dickweed, Captain Russell, caught the ball, and I also didn't know that you had to stay within some kind of boundary. I thought like, oh, he caught it, that the game's over, they won, that sucks, Britain won. But I didn't notice this rule at all before, where if you catch the ball past a line, I guess there's an end to the outfield that you have to stay in to catch the ball. And if it's outside of that, then it doesn't count, which I guess is more apparent when there's an audience, you know, when the people are, it's like, oh, like a foul ball, you know, fly ball, you know, the audience caught it. Of course, it's out. It's a home run. But yeah, they
don't follow that in baseball, though, do they? Like, if you were to get a home run, like if you were to catch it outside of the field, would that still count as getting them out?
If you, so I did play baseball growing up, and to my understanding, I don't know, to my understanding with professional sports to professional baseball, if someone hits a ball and it goes towards the audience, towards like the bleachers, and if a catcher or outfieldman jumps up and catches it, to my understanding, that's an out. They catch it and they could fall into, this is going, I'm imagining images now from Angels in the Outfield. If they catch it, even if they fall into the bleachers, as long as they have it in their hand, that's an out. But if they drop it, or if it just goes straight into the audience and no one catches it, except, I mean, if like an audience member catches it, it does count. It's a home run. Yeah. It's out of there. You know, they hit a home run. No coming back from that. So yeah. And then Mr. Poindexter, Mr. Captain Russell, he loses it. He doesn't get it. And it's also kind of a moment where it's like, no, they won again. It's like, nope, they totally won. And then
he's going to be off to Africa pretty soon.
Yeah, to the Sahara Desert. Oof. And then the rain starts coming, because we didn't mention earlier, because they were experiencing a big drought, because that's one of the big reasons why they couldn't pay the unfair tax that the evil British Empire was placing on them, is that they couldn't grow crops because it was just not raining and things were really tough. But then after they won, it started raining, and it was just joyous and beautiful, and everybody came together and song and dance and love and hugs, and it was awesome. And then at the end, the British leave. This causes them to so much shame that they end up leaving India, which is amazing. Yes,
they're out.
The fuck out of there. Britain, this isn't your land. Anyway, it's like, yeah, you're white people. And so then...
That's what we're all saying.
So then they had like this little parade, I guess, where they're all watching them. They're like, yeah, bye, assholes. But then Elizabeth stops, and we love Elizabeth. Elizabeth's great. Elizabeth, yes, she's in England, but she's one of the good British people. She's great. We love her, and she was a tremendous help. She was a hero. And Elizabeth comes over and she says hi to Bhuvan's mom. And she's like, I wish you could have been my mother-in-law. And then she hugs Gwari, which was so nice and so like, and she didn't do it spitefully or like, I fucking hate you, you know, like tip my hand. Like, she was so kind and good to her, and like she's like recognized her as a person, even though she loved Bhuvan. And then she goes over Bhuvan, has a moment with him, and I still don't think Bhuvan gets it. Like, I still
He's don't like, think what does this mean?
Yeah, I still don't think he knows. It's like, dude, you gotta know that she digs you at least a little bit by now. And like, he doesn't get it, and she just looks at him super lovingly. And okay, here's my thing. I wish Bhuvan at least gave her a hug. It's like, that would have been harmless.
That confused. He's like, what?
Yeah, he's just that confused. Like, it's like, could you at least press those pecs like against her, and she will love it like that, because that's what she wants way more than that. But if you could just give her some of that Aamir Khan pecks when you hug her, she would just melt, and it would just make her entire life. She would just remember that forever.
Just don't make her go to Africa with her brother.
Yeah. Well, then did she go to Africa or did she go back to England? I thought she went back to England.
No, I think she went to England
because it was like subtitles at the end. Yeah. And to know that she said that she went back home with Bhuvan in her heart, and she never married, and she just stayed in love with him for the rest of her life. And then we get to know that Gauri and Bhuvan have a huge wedding, and then at the end, even though it's a very happy ending, it's like, hey, British defeated, and we saved India. Yeah, there's rain now. We can have farmland. We're getting married. Oh, bye, Elizabeth. You're awesome. You love Bhuvan the rest of your life. Okay, sad but also romantic. And then it says, and then we forgot about Bhuvan. Like, what? The whole movie is like this like triumphant, beautiful ending. And then in the subtitles, like, and then history forgot about Bhuvan, and pages.
And then we just forgot.
Yes, like, and what? That's how you end it? That was my two critiques. Bhuvan should have gave Elizabeth a nice tight hug, a nice tight, loving hug. Nothing, not cheat on his wife, but just like a good platonic hug for her to enjoy. And why did we have to end with saying people just forgot about him? That's
how much the history matters. They're just like, it was a wonderful history, and then we all forgot what happened after that.
I'm like, what? Okay. But regardless, it didn't take away how this movie glowed. It glowed with feelings and emotion and love and triumph and good versus evil, and it just was a classic tale, and it was invigorating, exciting. It was funny. There was funny parts in it too. But yeah, man, is that how you felt about it? Like watching it from beginning to end?
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to be completely honest. I had to split it into two separate watching sessions because I wasn't going to sit down and do a whole 4 hours in one sitting. I had to take a little bit of a break. It was like watching The Lord of the Rings a little bit because it's just so much to hammer into one session. And I think if I had to watch The Lord of the Rings in one sitting, like I could do it, but to watch an entire 4 hour long film in just one 4 hour long sitting, it's a lot. And just to think that most Bollywood films are about 3 to 4 hours long, I just can't imagine because I'm not used to that. Most American films are about an hour and a half to 2 hours long, and that's what I'm used to. I'm used to preparing myself for about an hour and a half long to 2 hour long commitment if I'm going to watch a movie. If I plan to watch a movie, I'm readying myself for looking at the clock thinking, okay, it's about 6 o'clock. I'll be done with this film around maybe 8 o'clock, and then I can go do something else after 8. And then if I look and see that I'm going to prepare myself for a Bollywood film, I look at the clock at 6 o'clock, then I have to think to myself, my night's done.
Yeah.
Because
it'd be nice if they broke it up in like intermissions, like
I
hey,
think they
and
did.
They're like, hey, here's an intermission. And then they kind of like have it like just a title that on a black screen, and then it's a chill out time for 15 minutes. I mean, and hey, I could pause it right here and I can come back to it later.
Yeah, I mean, they don't actually do that in the movie itself, but I think when you and I were talking to Rashawn on previous episodes, I think he was saying when you would actually go and see one of these movies at a movie theater, I think they would have like a 15-minute break or something in between the movie when you could just go and like grab a snack or something like 2 hours in or whatever, or go to the bathroom or whatever and go back. But yeah, I definitely need that. That's what I did with this movie, but I also continued the second half of the movie like the next day. So I finished that in the morning the next day that I watched it. But I thought it was fantastic. I thought the movie was wonderful. And I think the movie overall, they cover, like most Bollywood movies you and I talk about, they cover genres from all directions, whether that's making you laugh or sharing the drama. And I was certainly just disgusted seeing the classic British people and their angle of things in India. It just made me think, anytime I heard the Indian people reference what it was like having white people in India, it almost, like, I shouldn't even say almost, it did bring a smile to my face to see the kind of commentary they had on white people, just like, oh, these, trashy white people. I'm kind of paraphrasing there, but I mean, they were saying things kind of like that. And I'm thinking to myself, thank God these people are thinking like that, because like, I'm so tired of, the way that people were acting, like the white people were acting back then. Like you tell them, you call them that, because like they were acting like pieces of jerks.
It's like, what right do they have to oppress these people just because they look different? Right. It's just, they're human beings too. They should have been respected. It's like, how would you feel like if India came and put a tax on your stuff,
Yeah.
And England. But yeah, man. I'm really glad that they it was clear, and kudos to all the people who play bad guys in this. You're helping tell the story very well.
Exactly.
The actors that played the bad British people. It's like your instrument. You're providing yourself to play the evil people, and if anything, it means I'm guessing you're probably not racist in real life, because you're helping tell this story, which had to do with racism too, because they wouldn't be there if they thought they were because they wouldn't do that to other white people, Germany, we're not gonna touch Germany because it's Germany, why? Because it's white people. Anyway, that's a whole other topic. But yeah, this film holds a big praise. It holds a 95% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, based on 59 reviews, with an average rating of 7.9 out of 10. And the site's critical consensus reads, Lagaan is lavish, rousing entertainment and in the old-fashioned tradition of Hollywood musicals. And on Metacritic, the film has a weighted average of 84 out of 100 based on 21 critics. And Roger Ebert gave the film 3.5 out of 4 stars and wrote, Lagaan is an enormously entertaining movie, like nothing we've ever seen before, and yet completely familiar. At the same time, it's a memory of the films we all grew up on, with clearly defined villains and heroes, a live triangle, and even a comic character who saves the day. Lagaan is a well-crafted, hugely entertaining epic that has the spice of foreign culture. The spice of foreign culture? I don't know if I agree with that phrase, Roger Ebert. I want you to leave the Spice reference out of there and just refer it to Spice Girls.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll go back to Spice World with that one.
Spice World, the little Gucci dress or the little Gucci dress. Anyway, let's see here. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian described the film as a lavish epic, a gorgeous love story, and a roll-licking adventure yarn. I don't know what that means. I guess it's good. Larger than life and outrageously enjoyable. It's got a dash of spaghetti western, a hint of Kurosawa. Yeah, it does kind of a little bit of Kurosawa, with a bracing shot of Kipling. That's interesting. Spaghetti western, Kurosawa, Kipling. That's an interesting assessment, Peter. People love it. People love this movie. I've never seen it before, and it rocked the awards. Got nominated for a bunch of stuff, and it is on Netflix. People, if you haven't seen this film, go watch it. I've never seen it before. You should definitely watch it. I'm going into my review already. I'm giving us a slurps up, man. This is a time we say, hey, we recommend it. We tell you to go watch it. We say slurps up, slurps down means the opposite. And there's no way in heck that I could give this a slurps down. This is a full-on slurps up. This is an extremely enjoyable movie. Very feel good. Very just makes you feel all the feels. Makes you just, I don't use the word spice, Roger. Yeah, no, you're not. Yeah, whatever. But like it.
Spice.
Spice. When you're using spice, refer to Dune or Spice World. When it comes to India, please know it's not. They're not food. It's a different culture, and I love feeling that perspective. I felt like I was in there with them in the village, and I felt the community. It felt warm and good, and I just like, oh man, I want to help too. I want to be there and help out everybody. And yeah, Aamir Khan, just fantastic filmmaker. I know he didn't direct or wrote it, but he produced it and starred in it. Mm-hmm. And everybody did a fantastic job in this. And it's beautiful. It almost felt like a little bit like live action Disney in a way.
I said the same thing, and I got called out for saying that. I think
who said that?
Laura was saying, like, how do you compare this to a Disney film? Like, with what? Like, just because it has music in it, you think it's like a Disney film? I'm like, there's much more to it than just the music.
Yeah.
Like, it just
you had a clear bad guy, you had a clear good guy. You had a love triangle.
I thought the sound effect too, when Paul Blackthorne's character, the antagonist, was just like, "There's stakes to remove the tax on one condition," and there's the sound effect like that. I'm like, okay, this is feeling like a Disney film right now.
He did seem like a classic Disney villain. Yeah, like a British Disney villain. Yeah, it was just. It had a great message of acceptance and diversity and beating the odds no matter how tough they are and wishing and hoping for the best and bringing people together and ladies falling in love with you and like having a dilemma, having to pick one, even though he doesn't really seem like he has much trouble with that. But also it's like, I don't know, you didn't really seem like you're interested until like the very end, but okay. Whatever, man, you seem fun. You seem cool. And also forgiveness too. He was just super forgiving. He forgave the Judas of his group, he was also like, what the fuck, man? Like, I mean, he didn't literally say that, but he was like, why, really?
Interesting if he said it like that.
You tried to screw over you tried, I'm paraphrasing, but like, you tried to screw over all of us and yourself just because you didn't like that the girl that you liked me more? Okay.
I know, and in his defense, he was like, please forgive me, please. Yeah, I was going to make all of you pay 3 times the tax by screwing you over.
Anybody could have said that was dumb or irrational or just not a smart move for Aamir Khan for his character Bhuvan, but he does, and it's because he saw the good in him and he brought out the good in him, and it's just like, isn't that what we all aspire to be as Aamir Khan characters?
Good people, yeah,
and just a good guy. Anyway, I gave it a slurps up. I have nothing more to say about it other than good things, but I'll just be repeating myself. What did you think, Adam?
I will also give this movie a slurps up. Again, this was the first time I saw this movie. This was the first time I really understood what it meant to play the game of cricket, because I've never in my life seen the game cricket played, nor have I've never played cricket. So learned how to play cricket from watching this movie, because 2 of the 4 hours are watching them play cricket. But this movie means so much more than just the game of cricket, even though the film surrounds a lot of that. The acting's fantastic, the characters are great, and pretty much any movie I've seen with Aamir Khan is always just a killer. For anyone who's watched a movie with someone like Tom Hanks, just think of Aamir Khan as India's version of Tom Hanks. I mean, seriously though, this is just fantastic. And a couple of facts I found online from DesiMartini.com, an article from 2016. One that I thought was very interesting was Lagaan was the first Indian film to get premiered in China. I thought that was very interesting. And from 2016, it said that Lagaan was only the 3rd Indian movie to be nominated at the Oscars. And from what we read earlier, it sounds like that's still the case. It doesn't seem like that's been updated anytime recently, so I'm going to assume that is still the case. It's very unfortunate, actually. But still, it's only the 3rd Indian movie to be nominated at the Oscars for best foreign film. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I agree.
And then another fact that they said was that the movie was shot in an ancient village near Bhuj. In addition to the water and electricity shortage, there were no hotels for the team. Lagaan, under Aamir Khan's supervision, the crew transformed a newly built building into a hotel. So...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Pretty interesting. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna give this one a slurps up. Very, very interesting stuff. Yeah, I mean, it was a good movie. I thought this was a good movie. So yeah, once again, slurps up all the way. Watch Lagaan. Doesn't Lagaan stand for agriculture tax? So not a good term, and it's the title of the movie, and it's just kind of like shouting tax as a film title. Tax. It's like tax. Watch your tax.
Well, Once Upon a Time in India is nice though. Yeah, that's a better. Yeah, if you don't know what Lagaan means, it's like Lagaan. Once Upon a Time in India. It sounds nice, but then
you hear the term in the movie a lot though. That was the thing that caught me. Is I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch the movie Lagaan, and then you just start hearing them just like Lagaan. I have to give them Lagaan 3 times Lagaan. I mean, they're not saying that in English. They're speaking in Indian and Hindi or Hindi. In Hindi. Yeah. Yep. So it's just all part of the phrasing as they're speaking. So it's in the middle of one sentence they're talking about Lagaan, and then I'm like, oh, okay, they're talking about tax. Okay, I get it. But unfortunate that's that much of the movie is about having to pay tax. Yeah.
It sounds good, though, to my American ear. So my American English-speaking ear.
But then you think it's going to be something serious, like, oh, it's about tax, it's about money, and then all of a sudden it's just like, and we're going to play cricket to decide if you're going to pay it. Yeah. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, the poster looks like very epic and lovely, and if you look at it with context, think about the context, the main photo that you see on like IMDb, it's like this handsome picture of Aamir Khan with this shirt open, his pecs showing, and then the 2 ladies that love him, like very large behind him, and he just is like, looks like, man, I'm so confused, and they're just like, Bhuvan, we love you. Anyway, it almost kind of looked like, going into it, I knew nothing. It almost kind of looked like a fantasy film, and but like just looking at the posters, it looked like, I'm like, oh, cool, this is a fantasy film. We need more fantasy stories that take place outside of fantasy Europe. I want to see it like a Indian fantasy movie. I know we get like East Asian ones, but like, India.
The poster looks like it's going to be an Indian version of Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah. That's it kind of made me think of too. But yeah, it was whatever. It was so awesome. I loved it.
Absolutely.
Go check it out on Netflix, people. If you've seen it before, go watch it again. But yeah, that is our review of Lagaan, Once Upon a Time in India. So moving on, before we close out, we're going to plug a few things each. And something I got to plug is... my name is Dash Garrett, as I mentioned before. I also go by DJ. I run a Dungeons & Dragons actual play show titled Journey Punks. It's on Twitch, and we stream at least every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Time. We take, basically, it's every other Monday is D&D night, where we play D&D, and you can see the campaign episodes. And then in the in-between weeks, we have a talk show called J-Punk Junk, where we talk about the D&D episode, the characters, role-playing in general, and basically acknowledge chat, because we don't really have a time to do it as much during the game, but we do try to do that. So check that out when you can. Live streams happen on Monday, as I said, but then they also end up on YouTube, so you can look us up on YouTube, but follow us on Twitch, which would be twitch.tv/journeypunks. That's twitch.tv/JOURNEY Punks. And you can also follow me on Twitch and Instagram at Dash Gerhardt, DashGierhardt. Adam, what would you like to plug, sir?
You can catch me on Twitter, Instagram, and SoundCloud at Adam Meisner. And I play music. I play all kinds of music. I play original music. I even do covers from time to time. And feel free to reach out to me if there's a song you want to hear. And with your luck in hand, I will record that song for you. Just let me know what you want to hear, and I will play it.
And Adam, recently, I commissioned him to do a song for me, and he is awesome. So hire this man. Put him to work. He will make excellent material, content, music for you. He's a genius. Dude, this guy makes video games. He makes music. He edits every episode of the Screen Starts podcast. And he has a fantastic singing voice. Adam, I can't wait to get to karaoke with you as soon as we're done getting vaccinated. Let's go just have a night on the town and have some good dude karaoke.
I mean,
girls are allowed too, but I'm just, you and I are dudes. But anyway, karaoke, we need it in our lives again. It's been too long.
I can't wait to get back out there and start performing again. I cannot wait.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it. Well, that wraps up for this episode of Screen Slurps. Thanks for listening, everyone. So please be sure to like/follow us on social media. We release new episodes every Monday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and just about everywhere you can find podcasts on the internet. And be sure to follow and subscribe to us on those platforms. And if you like our show, please give us a nice 5-star review in the Apple Podcast app and recommend us to everyone in your multiverse. It will help the show grow. So closing out, this is Dash Gearhart.
And I'm Adam Meisner.
Slurps up, everyone. Go watch Lagaan on Netflix.
Do it.
I'll catch you all later.